Hi everyone, it's Tina here today from Kat Scrappiness. Today I'm showcasing two new dies, the Coffee Cup Build It die and the Got Coffee Sentiment die. I also use the Wonky Wavy stitched rectangle dies and the double stitched rectangles die to make this coffee cup card. So sit right back and let's get started. I wanted to do something a little bit different for my card. I wanted the coffee cup to actually open. So what I've done is I've placed the die on a fold just a little bit higher. So that way, when I pass it through the die cut, it won't cut the top part and it'll leave enough room to have it flip open. So I've already gone and die cut it. Now I'm just going to remove the tape. And there you go. Now the coffee will flip up and you can put a little saying, you can use it as a tag, but we're going to use it on a card for today. For the piece of the coffee that is used to hold when the coffee is too hot, I decided to use a tool that I haven't used in a long time, my crumper. So what I did is I passed my cardstock through the crumper and I got the grooves, and then I passed the die through the machine. So now I have a crumped up piece. Now I want to decorate the coffee cup, and so what I've done is I've used distressed oxides and I basically put it on a craft mat, directly on the mat, and I sprayed it with water, dipped it in, and I created this pattern. Like I said in the previous video, there are plenty of videos out there showing this technique, so I won't do it in today's video, but here's my background, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut the coffee cup, and here it is. And I decided to center it in my background because I want to actually keep this and put it on my card so it's not going to go to waste. So here's the die cut, and the next step is to adhere it to the top of the coffee cup fold. So now I will place adhesive . And there we go. And it also covers, because we raised the die a little bit, we could have the fold, so we could flip it. It now actually covers it. And now it's time to build up the rest of the coffee cup. For this piece, I did want it to look like there was some dimension to it, that it was an actual piece that you would use to hold the coffee cup when it's hot. I decided to just shape it a little bit. I added some foam tape to the edges, and then on the bottom I used double-sided tape just for extra stickiness, because I want to make sure that it stays on the card. So now I'm adhering it to it, and now you can see that you have the dimension. So I'm taking my Distress Oxide Hickory Smoke, and I'm going to just ink up a little bit before I die cut the top part of the coffee cup. So I'm just going to ink it lightly because I want a little bit of a shadow. And it's going to be, for these two pieces, that it's going to be in the gray. So I'm going to adhere them with adhering them with some painter's tape so it won't move when I die cut. And now I'm going to attach the other pieces, and I'll be right back while I cut them. Okay, so here are the pieces, and now it's time to adhere everything together. So I'm going to take this piece, which had a little bit of the hickory smoke, and I'm going to attach it to this top part. So I'm going to use some multi-medium for that. And I don't need much, just going to put a few. We'll put an acrylic block on top just to let it dry a bit. And next we're going to attach this part, which I had also distress oxide, a little bit of the hickory smoke, and I'm going to put it onto the top of that. So again, we need some multi-medium. Place the acrylic block on top of that. And now I'm going to adhere the whole piece to the top. And that's it. So I'm going to let it dry, and then afterwards we'll assemble it to the coffee cup. So now my pieces are dry, so I'm going to now adhere the top part to the coffee cup. So I'm going to use some double-sided tape. And there you go. Okay, so the card base is going to be trimmed down to 8.5 by 5.5, and then we're going to score it in half. So I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So now we have our base. Now, if you remember, I kept my background piece, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut it with the Wonky Wavy stitch rectangle dies from Kat Scrappiness. So I'm taking the largest one, and I'm going to cut out my background, and I'll be right back. Okay. This is really one of my favorite dies. It just die cuts so beautifully, the stitch detail. So, like I said, this did not go to waste. It's going to be adhered to the front of the card. So next I'm going to die cut the double stitched rectangle dies on the craft paper. It's going to be covering my die cut in the center. So I'm going to die cut it, and I'll be right back. So here's my die cut. And I want to add some distress inks to the edges just to give it a little bit of some color on the edges. So I'm going to use my craft mat. So now I'm going to ink up the edges of my die cut. I'm going to use Distress Oxide in the Seedless Preserves color. And I'm going to use an ink applicator. And I'm just going to lightly ink the edges. This will also help to show the stitched detail, as well as right now the color was muted, so I just want to add a little bit of color to it. And there you go. And now the next step is to add double-sided tape to the back and adhere it to the card. So now I'm adhering the panel to the front, and I'm going to center it. And now it's time to add the coffee cup to the front. So I have my double-sided tape on the back side of the coffee cup, and now I'm going to place it on top of the card. And I'm going to actually put it on a little bit of a slant. And now the last part is to add the sentiment. For the sentiment, I'm going to use the new die cut Got Coffee. It's really adorable. I love the script, and I'm going to cut it on white cardstock. And I'm going to do something different. I'm sure you've seen this technique before. I'm going to ink it up with Versamark, and I'm going to emboss directly on the die cut with white embossing powder. And this will give it some dimension, so I'm going to do that 3 times. So I have all my pieces embossed, and they came out beautifully. So now it's time to adhere it to the card, and I'm going to use some multi-medium, and I'll show you the first one, and then I'll do the other parts off camera. Now for this part, I'm going to have to use the acrylic block because of the grooves. I want to make sure that it's adhered properly. And I'll do the rest off camera, and I'll be right back. And here's the finished card. Got coffee. So all products can be purchased at Kat Scrappiness, and if you want to have 10% off your next order, please use Tina10. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.